Good morning, students. In this presentation, we'll study about adenovirus and parvovirus, how what is the genome made up of, what is the structure of the virus, and then how the productive cycle of these two viruses are. First, coming to adenovirus, it was the first tumor virus to be isolated from humans, and it's used as model for tumorigenesis, but it never causes tumors in humans. You know, I've spoken about permissive and non-permissive host. Permissive host is a host which gives all the required machinery or required support to be in the lytic cycle of the virus. Non-permissive host are something where you have one missing, so that the virus will not be able to complete its replication cycle, and it will lead to some kind of a disease or lysogeny. So in non-permissive host, it is known to infect, causing tumorigenesis. Adenovirus were first isolated from adenoid of a person suffering from respiratory infection. Adenoid is also called as nasopharyngeal tonsil or pharyngeal tonsil, is a mass of lymphatic tissue located posterior to nasal cavity, that is where the nose blend the throat. Adenoviruses are found not only in humans but also in diverse vertebrates including reptiles. So it has 60 subtypes of human adenovirus are currently reported from species A to G, of which the subtype 5 is extensively cellular, which causes respiratory infection in human. So that is what I'll be concentrating the whole lecture on. So coming to the structure, see here you can see there are two types of structural arrangement of the structural proteins in terms of hexons and in terms of pentons. To the pentons there is a fiber attached. It is looking like a spherical capsid with 12 fiber project outwards. Here in a cross section you can see there are 6 fibers which are shown. It is non-enveloped capsid particle with the T25 icosahedral symmetry, and there are around 15 structural proteins. The capsid is made up of 2 building blocks, that is in terms of hexons and pentons. There are 20 facets are constituted of 240 hexons, and vertices is constituted of pentamers. Fibers are attached to the vertices, that is to the pentamers. Inside the viral capsid, the viral genome DNA is associated with 3 kinds of viral protein: protein 5, protein 7 and mu. You can see the structural protein. There is a fiber attached to penton, and there is a 3A protein and protein 6, and you have the protein 6 attached to 5 and 7, and mu are arranged along the genetic material. Now coming to the genetic material, in previous few examples we have studied about single strand viruses. This is a double strand DNA virus, linear double strand DNA virus. The length of the genomic material is 35 kilobase pairs. At the end, it has an interesting feature, that is ends have inverted terminal repeat of about 100 to 180 base pairs at both the ends. This is important because during the replication cycle it forms something called as panhandle structure, which is an intermediate during the replication. And also one end, that is a 5' end, is attached to terminal protein, which I'll further say it as TP, is covalently attached. Okay. Here the terminal protein, the hydroxyl group of serine, is attached to the terminal nucleotide of the DNA. This serves as protein primer for viral DNA replication. Okay, next slide. So coming to the life cycle, the cells which are infected by this virus are the epithelium cells of the upper respiratory tracts in humans and cause respiratory infection. The particle size is 90 to 100 nanometer. It has two phases, the early phase and the late phase. Early phase is where you have the required proteins which are produced, and the late phase is where you have the genome replication occurs. Now, entry of the virus happens by interaction of the fiber protein with a main receptor associated protein, which is called as CAR, that is Coxsackie and adenovirus receptor. Coxsackie virus and adenovirus receptor, that is CD46. And once it shows an attachment to the associated receptor, the main receptor is alpha integrin. So once it makes an interaction with alpha integrin, it undergoes clathrin coated endocytosis, where the trimers of clathrin arrange near the viral and receptor interaction, and they are taken into endosome. This endosome have a pH of 5.5 that leads to release of the fiber protein. These uh, when the fiber proteins are released, the pentoses are exposed. There is membrane lysis by N-terminal of cement protein 6, and release of immediate endosome rupture happens. So that forms the late endosome. So there is a rupture. Now these viruses are into the cytoplasm, the fibers are not there, and you have the pentoses which are deformed because of the acidic pH. And once they are in the cytoplasm, they interact with the microtubule and dynein, and then using that they travel towards the nucleus, where they are attached to the nucleopore complex. So this adenovirus is partially disrupted viral capsid is there, and this disrupted viral capsid, after interaction with nuclear pore complex, injects the viral genome, this viral genetic material, into the nucleus. So once it is in the nucleus, there is transcription of the early genes happen. Now this is 35 kilobase pairs. Both the forward and the reverse strand can code for certain proteins of the viruses. The blue color depicted are the early proteins which are transcribed, and the green color depicted are the late proteins which are like transcribed. So now this blue color proteins, which are E1, E1b, E2, E1a and E1b are spliced from E1. So I'll tell it as E1, and then E2, E3, E4 are the early transcripts, and they are very important for the regulation or the switch of the cells to the viral propagation, towards viral propagation. And the late expressed are the mostly are the structural proteins, which are like represented by the transcript L1, L2, L3, L4 and L5. L1 is now we'll see the thing. L1 is a pentose base, L2 is core protein, L3 is hexon, L4 is protease, L5 is fiber. Coming in detail about the early transcript, E1, about E1 I'll talk in detail in next slide. E2 is very important for DNA replication because it constitutes the three important proteins which carry out the replication of the DNA. Those are adenovirus associated polymerase, pre-terminal protein and DNA binding protein, which help in DNA replication. E3 is has two spliced proteins. One is E3 GP18K, which protects the cell from cytotoxic T cell mediated lysis. E3 11.6 is adenovirus death protein, which helps in release of the virus. E4 gives out 3 transcripts. E4ORF3, which inhibits the interferon response by inhibition of DNA damage response. E4 also gives out two other transcripts, ORF4, which helps in inducing apoptosis. ORF6 is important because it has uh, adenovirus ubiquitin E3 ligase component, and there is one more component, E155K, that is also E3 ligase component. Further you will see how it helps in the formation of a complex which helps in the shift of the cells from its normal resting phase towards a different phase where the propagation of virus is favorable. You have one more viral associated RNA. It induces inhibition of interferon alpha action. Now coming to E1 transcripts, E1 region has two transcripts, E1A and E1B. E1 by alternative E1A by alternative splicing gives out two transcripts, that is 12S and 13S RNAs. This 12S RNA gives out a 243 amino acid protein, and 30S RNA gives out 289 RNA transcript. These are very important proteins because these are not DNA binding protein, but it acts as transcriptional transactivator protein. By interaction with some important proteins of the cellular machinery, that is P300 and CBP. So this CBP is called as CREB binding protein, and P300 both constitute co-activator family. These protein have some interesting character because they have 5 important domains, like the nuclear receptor interaction domain, sorry, KIX domain, which interacts with important transcription factor like CREB or MYB, cysteine histidine region, interferon response domain, and these proteins also show histone associate acetyl transferase activity, or it can bind to histone acetyl transferase. They are important in regulation of gene expression because they are with histone acetyl transferase. They help in relaxation of the structure of the gene, so that there is expression or inducing RNA a polymerase 2 to come to the promoter, and they act as adapter molecule. So this P300 and CBP protein interaction domains are very important, recruiting them to the site where the genome transcription can happen. TBP is Tata box binding protein, which is also important for transcription. ATF is activating transcription factor 2, which is like a leucine zipper family protein which binds to the DNA. The protein binds to CAMP response element and has histone acetyl transferase activity. It acetylates H2B and H4 in vitro. So E1A acts as transcriptional transactivator of which genes? E2 genes. Sorry. It acts transcriptional transactivator for E2 genes, and then further for E3 genes and E4 gene. So E1A is an important factor because it plays a central role in establishing the viral infection by triggering the entry of the cells to the S phase. This E1A protein, this trigger happens by binding to retinoblastoma protein. In normal cells, if the switch should happen, if there is a mitotic trigger, then the inhibited E2F protein, which is inhibited by retinoblastoma protein, is activated by phosphorylation of cyclin dependent kinases, which releases E2F factor, which binds to DNA along with association with histone acetyltransferases that switches the cell to the S phase. But in case of adenovirus, this E1A protein binds to retinoblastoma protein, and then it releases the E2F, thereby switching the cell to the S phase. So now you have the cells in the early phase, proteins which are synthesized, and now there is a switch to the late phase. This I'll come back later. So E1A protein gives the early phase has two parts: immediate early phase, where you have the more of E1A proteins synthesized, and then you have the late early phase where you have the E2 protein, that is the DNA polymerase and pre-terminal protein and DNA binding proteins which are synthesized. That gives a transition to the late phase where you have the late associated mRNAs, that is the L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, and then you have the DNA replication happening. So the late phase involves genome replication, capsid assembly, and release. Now genome replication, the three proteins which are very much important are involved are DNA polymerase, and then precursor or the pre-terminal protein, and DNA binding protein. So this DNA polymerase is very important for synthesis of replication of the genome. In that initiates the DNA synthesis using protein priming, that is the pre-terminal protein, the serine of the pre-terminal protein. Here you can see that the pre-terminal protein, the blue color round, is attached to one C. The serine of the pre-terminal protein is attached to cytosine, and then it attaches to the G of the 3' to 5' strand, which is extended by the DNA polymerase. Nascent DNA synthesis ensure that non-templated strand become displaced and coated by the DNA binding protein, that is single strand DNA binding proteins. The green colors what are getting attached here are single strand DNA binding protein. So once they are synthesized, because there are terminal repeats, they form something called as panhandle structure via the complementarity between the two internal terminal repeats. Now till here, once this panhandle structure formed, you have one round of synthesis finish. So you have two molecule, one double stranded and one single stranded. Now the second round starts, that is the step 4, where you have the again at the tip the so the newly formed double stranded region of the panhandle is indistinguishable from that of the linear viral DNA template, and is used for first and again one more round of DNA synthesis. That is, second round of initiation happens by protein priming. The same G is present, so terminal protein, pre-terminal protein with the C attaches here, and again the DNA polymerase is recruited to this site, and you have the synthesis of the second strand. So by the end of this cycle of replication, one cycle, complete cycle, you have two molecules of double stranded DNA, and once you have these two molecules of double stranded DNA, the pre-terminal protein, which is 80 kilodalton, is processed to terminal protein, that is 55 kilodalton, by viral proteases. So now you have the double stranded DNA of virus which is attached to the terminal protein, and then you have the complete genome. The DNA replication is this type of DNA replication is called as asynchronous replication, because one strand of viral DNA is double strand is used as a template for synthesis of first round of DNA synthesis, and then displaced strand is used for second round of DNA synthesis. So it is asynchronous replication. So at this stage, DNA repair machinery has to be blocked, which is very important, or else concatamers will be formed, because the linear viral DNA is recognized as break by the DNA repair machinery. So it is done by the Cullin ring ubiquitin E3 ligase. That is, in place of this BC box, there is our adenovirus proteins which get attached with this Cullin complex, and then it targets the important proteins, uh, the M8, sorry. So it will target the P53 and degrades the P53 via proteasome. It also targets the mRNA complex, which is an important complex in sensing the DNA damage, which exhibits endonuclease and exonuclease activity, and that is mRNA complex is phosphorylated or ubiquitinated and degraded by proteasome complex. The scalene protein are also degrading P53, P53 by proteasome complex. Now, once the DNA is synthesized, there is expression of the late transcript. There is only one promoter, which is the major late promoters encodes an large mRNA that is alternatively spliced and polyadenylated, yielding numerous transcript. As a result, five major group of transcript from L1 to L5 are accumulated in the cytoplasm and translated into structural proteins, which are the building blocks for the capsid, including the protein core, hexons, and fibers. The next is the assembly and release. The viral capsids are assembled inside the nucleus and become released from the cell by lysis. This lysis is orchestrated by different methods. First is that adenovirus death protein, which is E311.6, mediates the adenovirus release. It is a membrane bound protein. It is known to be accumulated to ER, Golgi, and near the nuclear membrane, which are like where the fully assembled virions are present. Apart from this, E1A also is known to induce apoptosis, which renders the cell apart from E1, there is one more protein, adenovirus L3 encoded protease, which cleaves the cytokeratin and thereby disrupt the cytokeratin network, which is demonstrated in HeLa cells, because disruption of keratin filament renders the epithelial cell more susceptible to lysis by mild mechanical stress. So, coordinated action of the L3 encoded protease, even A induced apoptosis, and the E3 11.6K protein will help in the burst and release of adenovirus. So this is a recap of the viral infection. The virus enters by interaction with the viral the viral receptor, that is as cap, and then integrin integration. It is taken by clathrin mediated endocytosis. Once in the cytoplasm, by the endosome, which has a low pH, releases the fibers, and then they are the particles enter the cytoplasm, and then they bind to this microtubule dynein and travel towards the nuclear pore complex, where they release the viral DNA into the nucleus. Viral DNA produces early transcripts, which are like basically E1 proteins Even proteins regulate the recruitment of the important transcription factor and tata binding protein and other factors to the DNA, and more transcription happens. Once the early stage proteins are synthesized, the immediate early genes are even, and then the late early genes are the polymerases and terminal protein, pre-terminal protein and DNA binding proteins of coded by adenovirus. So once these are sufficiently there, by making a switch of the normal resting epithelial cells to the S phase epithelial cells, more and more of DNA synthesis happens in the late phase. Once more and more of DNA synthesis, that is replication, happens in the late phase, parallelly synthesizing the capsid proteins, they are the capsid proteins are taken into the nucleus, and they are packaged as a fresh virions, and then with the help of the adenovirus lysis protein, these viruses are lysed out of the cells. So this is one life cycle of adenovirus. Human adenovirus, over 51 subtypes of human adenovirus has been reported. Its infection leads to mild symptoms such as respiratory disease. The viral genome represents 35 kilobase pair linear double-stranded DNA in which the terminal proteins are covalently linked to the 5' terminus. The virion structure is non-enveloped naked virus, and the viral capsid harbors 12 fibers protruding from the vertex. The genome replication is carried over by adenoviral DNA polymerase. The viral terminal protein serves as a protein primer for DNA synthesis. One salient features of adenoviral DNA genome replication is that two strands of DNA synthesis are accomplished in a sequential manner, as a process termed as asynchronous replication. Now, the adenovirus infection causes oncogenic transformation in rodents, but not in humans, because we humans are the permissive host. Also, it's important to note that there are some viral induced proteins which are suppressing the immune system. Some of the protein, they block the STAT phosphorylation, that is the JAK-STAT pathway, that inhibits the interferon action. Also, viral encoded RNA inhibits the innate immune response by binding with the protein kinase R and blocking the dimerization which is required for interferon action. Now, also we have seen that viral mRNA processing is also inhibited, because cellular mRNA recruitment into the nucleus will not happen, thereby certain mRNAs are not expressed. The important proteins of the adenovirus are E1b 55 and E4ORF6, which are essential for selective export of viral RNA, and then they are viral RNA are exported out of the nucleus, and they are effectively transcribed. E4ORF gene products, which induces apoptosis, also helps the acute infection of the adenovirus. The adenovirus infection in non-permissive host will induce tumorigenesis. Now, coming to the second interesting group is the parvovirus group. Parvovirus family contains single strand DNA virus, and it has 5 genus. Now, this is a very interesting group, because there are certain viruses in this which do not have the lytic capability, that they cannot autonomously replicate. They are called as the defective viruses, and there are few autonomously replicating viruses, parvoviruses, which can independently replicate. They do not need the supporting machinery. So there are very few in this which causes human disease also, of which we will discuss two virus, which is the one is a defective virus, EAAV is adeno associated virus, and B19 with or which is autonomously replicating virus, which do not need the helper dependence, and it causes disease in infants called as the B19 virus, called as erythema infectiosum. So first we'll take adeno associated virus. Why it is called adeno associated virus is because in adenovirus preparation, here you can see a narrow mark is shown. The bigger ones are the adenovirus and the small one is the parvovirus, that is the adeno associated virus. These small particles were seen in the preparation of adenovirus and later it was studied. So the virion structure, as we can see, it is naked, that is non-enveloped. It has a small icosahedral capsid of 28 nanometer in diameter, and the genomic material inside is the single strand DNA. The length of this DNA is 5 kilobase pairs, and both the terminus of the DNA sequence is self-complementary, forming a hairpin structure. It is like having palindromic sequence of around 115 nucleotide in length. They are called as inverted terminal repeats. So inverted terminal repeats are very important because they can serve as a primer for viral DNA replication. The viral genome replication yields both positive and negative strand single stranded DNA, and this capsid, the packaging of this adeno associated viruses can happen with the positive or negative strand, because once they infect the cell they form something called as replicative form, that is a double stranded structure that is very important for transcription. So this is the structure of the viral terminus, that is the hairpin structure formed by the internal terminal repeat. So coming to proteins which are coded by this enzyme, there are two groups of proteins which are coded by this enzyme, the rep protein and the cap protein. Cap protein are structural protein and rep proteins are non-structural proteins which are important in replication. There are three promoter sites, that is P5, P19 and P40. P5 and P19 produces the rep proteins, which are alternative splicing. They produce to four proteins, that is rep 78, rep 68, rep 52 and rep 14. And the P40 promoter produces the structurally associated proteins, that is VP1, VP2 and VP3. Coming to the life cycle, here I have not explained the replication, that how double-stranded DNA and then viral DNA is replicated, because in B19 I will be explaining the replication format, that is the almost same for the adeno-associated virus. So in the absence of adenovirus, if a cell is getting infected with adeno-associated virus, the DNA does not have all the coding sequences for the replication machinery. It uses the host replication machinery. The DNA is replicated to the double-stranded structure, and then that is called the replicative form, and using recombinases they are integrated into the chromosome. Basically the region is called as chromosome 19. So that specific loci is also called as EAAVSI1 loci, and this specific integration is carried out by rep 78 or 68 proteins. So if that cells get infected with adenovirus, during adenovirus replication there is inhibition of double strand repair sensing machinery, and that triggers the replication of this AAV also. So more and more copies of AAVs are made and they are lysed along with adenovirus. I also told there is an autonomously replicating virus of this group, that is called as B19. This is called as B19 because it was discovered by Cosat and colleagues when they were screening for hepatitis B virus. And in a panel of human serum samples, the virus from the serum sample coded as panel B and number 19 was showing different reactivity, which later they found it as parvovirus, so it is named as B19. So, Parvo B19 virus is a causative agent of erythema infectiosum. It is also called as the fifth disease because it appears that the child, when they are infected with this virus, on the fifth day they show redness in the cheeks, which looks like someone has slapped the child. And also it gives mild illness in children, and polyarthralgia arthritis syndrome in immunocompetent adults. B virus is extremely small as the group is, so it measures around 18 to 26 nanometer in diameter. They have non-enveloped icosahedral capsid. The viral genome contains a single-stranded DNA measuring from 4,000 to 6,000 bases in length. The genome is negative strand DNA. The genome encodes for many proteins, which include three structural proteins, one non-structural, major non-structural protein, and several small proteins. B19 virus infects bone marrow cells, erythroid cells from fetal liver, and erythroid leukemia cells. The replication, like adenovirus, it occurs inside the nucleus. The single-stranded DNA genome forms the hairpin loops at both its end, which facilitates the double-stranded area for cellular DNA polymerase to start synthesis of the progeny genomes. The cellular RNA polymerase synthesizes the viral mRNA from double-stranded DNA intermediate. This is followed by virion assembly in the nucleus, and viral replication happens. So the stages of this viral infective cycle is first attachment. Attachment is done at a specific protein, which is a glycolipid globoside. This is also called as the blood group P antigen. People who lack this P antigen are naturally non resistant to this infection. P antigen is expressed on erythroid progenitors. Apart from erythroid progenitors, it is also expressed on megakaryocytes, endothelial cells, and fetal monocytes, but only showed tropism towards erythroid progenitor. And once it is attached to the P antigen, it is taken in by endocytosis, and then uncoating in the cytoplasm happens. It releases the viral DNA into the nucleus, where you have the DNA replication and an mRNA transcripts are formed and new proteins are formed, and then you have the assembly and the release. So we'll see little in the about the transcription, and then the replication, and then assembly. It has one promoter. As I told, as soon as the DNA is induced into the enters the nucleus, the single-stranded DNA, with the help of inverted terminal repeats, the left inverted terminal repeat and right inverted terminal repeat, the synthesis happens. You have the 5 prime at the right terminal repeat, where the synthesis of this it looks like a nick is there in the double strand. So there is a synthesis and then ligation at the left internal terminal repeat, that is a 3 prime end is joined, and then you have the double standard replicative form. The double standard replicative form shows only one promoter, that is the P6 promoter, which codes different types of ORFs. That is, there are 9 different ORFs which are produced. The 9 different mRNAs. The important structural mRNAs are VP1, VP2, and 11 and 7.5 kilodalton. The non-structural, or NS1, is essential. NS1 mRNA codes a protein which helps in DNA replication. Now coming to DNA replication, B19 I have told you that is an autonomous replication happens in the S phase. So there is the hairpin single strand replication, because the 3 prime end acts as a self primer with the 3 prime OH to extend the viral single strand DNA into double stranded DNA by cellular replication protein. This step is called as first strand synthesis. The extended 3' is ligated to the 5' end of the genome by cellular ligase, which makes the double stranded structure. The double stranded structure is called as replicative form that transcribes the mRNA for expression of viral proteins. Of which I told you that large protein is the NS1 protein, non-structural protein 1. It has multifunctional property. With it has an endonuclease activity and helicase activity is seen, and then it also nicks at the junction that is so called as the TRS. Here you can see the here it shows the endonuclease activity. TRS stands for terminal resolution site. When you cut there, that is between the 5' end hairpin and the newly synthesized viral DNA to form a novel 3' primer that initiates the strand displacement and rolling hairpin dependent DNA replication. The elongated viral genome, that is both the replicative form and the double replicative intermediate, are resolved by NS1 nicking and release of single stranded DNA that is finally packaged into the capsid. NS1 also induces the G2M arrest, that is by interacting with E2F family transcript. In the S phase only you have all this DNA polymerase delta, pCNA, that is proliferating cell nuclear antigen, and other cyclin MCM2, and those are all important for the replication machinery to carry out this DNA replication. So once you have, I'll repeat once again, once the DNA of the B19 is induced into the cell, they are converted to the replicative form by extension from the right side to the left side, and then there is ligation. You have the replicative form ligation. There is a nick formed by NS1 at the TRS site, which releases this the terminal repeats and the newly synthesized DNA. Again, this newly synthesized DNA is extended to form the inverted terminal repeats, which again roll back and then act as a primer for one more synthesis. And again, once this new old strand is displaced, new strand is formed. Again you have the nicking by the NS1 at the TRS site, and you have this cycle repeating and repeat, and many forms of the genomic viral DNA is formed. Once enough of viral genomic DNA is formed, already the replicative form will be synthesizing the structural proteins which are assembled in the nucleus, and cell lysis happens. And the mechanism of cell lysis is not known, but the cell lysis happens and the virions are released, and they are infecting the other cells, other erythroid cells. So in this small PPT, I have explained about adenovirus and B19 infection. A recap of this B19: the primary receptor is the globoside, and likely the co-receptor is integrin alpha 5 beta 1, which are the receptors for B19 in erythroid lineage cells. Erythropoietin receptor signaling is essential for B19 tropism and productive DNA replication. Hypoxia boosts productive B19 infection through enhancement of erythropoietin receptor signaling. B19 infection hijacks the DNA damage response signaling to facilitate viral DNA replication. B19 viral infection induces late S phase, which favors the viral DNA replication.